chapter 2, verses 1 to 11. On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine gave out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what concern is that to you and me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now standing there were 6 stone water jars for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to them, "Fill the jars with water," and they filled them up to the brim. He said to the servants, "Now draw some out and take it to the chief steward." So they took it. And when the steward tasted the water that had become wine and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the steward called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first and keeps the inferior wine until after the guests have become drunk. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this, the first of his signs in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
So as maybe you have already discerned from our readings the past few weeks, John's gospel handles the story of Jesus quite differently than do Matthew, Mark, and Luke. We call those gospels the synoptic gospels because of the way they see Jesus through the same lens, synoptic. But John, his Jesus isn't born. He just exists from the beginning of time. In the beginning was the Word. And Jesus sort of floats 6 inches off the ground with the light of God shining all around him in this book. He's mystical. He says things in answer to questions that are in no way an answer to the questions. Miracles occur in this gospel, but they are called signs. And their purpose is to reveal Jesus' glory, just like John the Baptist does at the beginning. Remember when he points to Jesus? Though Jesus' signs, we learn about who God is, about how we are called to live in this world, about who Jesus is. Jesus did this, the first of his signs in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Because of this sign, his disciples' faith and understanding in him is deepened. But do you know who believed in him before his sign? His mother. Now, we don't hear any stories in this gospel about an angel coming to Mary, the way Luke tells us, giving us the Magnificat. We don't know how she came to belief and understanding about who her son was, but when the wine goes out at the wedding, she knew who could solve the problem. "Woman, my hour has not yet come." Now, I'm going to tell you right now, only if you're the Son of God, then maybe you can get away with calling your mother woman. I am never going to be entirely okay with this interaction between Jesus and his mother. But it may be helpful to remember that in John's gospel, these stories of Jesus are told in an archetypal way, which means that the people in them are individuals, and they are individuals who stand for the rest of us. So by calling her woman instead of mom or instead of even Mary, we're reminded that Jesus goes back to the beginning of the world when God created woman and man. She may be the mother of God, but he was the one who was there when the world was created. It's a weird kind of physics. The other time his mother really shows up in this gospel is at the end of his life, when Jesus is on the cross, about to die. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that hour, the disciple took her into his own home. So she will be restored as mother by the end of the story, when his hour has for sure finally come. But he seems to want to debate her about whether or not his hour has come when he's at a party and presumably about to join his friends on the dance floor. "Woman, what concern is this to you and me? My hour has not yet come. I am off the clock." I like to picture this interaction between Jesus and his mom. "What does this have to do with us?" he asks her. And then, can't you just picture her giving him a long, slow, silent look before she turns to the servants and says, Do whatever he tells you. And then she walks away, presumably to go join the conga line, confident that the matter is handled. He may not be ready for his hour to come. Maybe he had grander plans for the revealing of his glory that would lead people to believe differently about who God was. But he watches her walk away, and he turns to the servants, and he gets busy, being the Son of God. It's worth noting that even the Jesus in John's gospel, the Jesus who's there at the beginning of the world, needs someone to call him to his purpose and to remind him that his time has come. I can also imagine that it might have been easier for Mary to just stay silent, right? She could have gotten another bottle of wine on her way home when she left the party. She wasn't going to be thirsty. Was she really ready for what would happen when Jesus worked his first public sign? She's the mother of God's Son, and I guarantee there's a thought in the back of her mind that had a mother's worry for what that was going to mean for him. She may or may not have known crucifixion was the end of the story, but she had to have known it was not going to be an easy path for him to stand in opposition to the political and the religious leaders. She's sitting at the party, though, and she overhears the servant's comment, "Pour slowly, that's all we have left." And I can imagine her thinking, well, Jesus could take care of this, but maybe his first sign is supposed to be something else. Like, it's not really my job. How am I supposed to know what God wants him to do? Would his first sign really be at a wedding? Shouldn't it be something bigger, like overthrowing the Romans? I don't know. Maybe I should just be quiet and trust that he's going to do the right thing when it's his time to start his ministry. What difference could my voice make anyway? Woman, what concern is that to you and me? Mary realized that calling people to their purpose was, in fact, her concern. So this week, I invite you to listen for the voices that we are not hearing, those we have maybe told to be quiet, because they may be busy trying to tell us our time has come. They may be calling out gifts we didn't think we were ready to use. And then think about the times that you thought about speaking and then decided it wasn't your business, or that you weren't qualified to speak about it, or what could one voice do in such a big mess? What if Mary hadn't spoken? What if she had not instructed the servants to do what he told them to do? Woman, what concern is that to you and me? It's such a seductive lie to be told that things are not our problem. I think it to myself in all sorts of situations: systemic racism, homelessness, the assault on women's reproductive rights and health, gun violence, the right way to vote in the upcoming school board recall election. Honestly, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Woman, what concern is that to you and me? But Mary's actions here remind us that it is our concern when we see things that could be changed, that could make the world better for other people, that could reveal God's goodness and glory to the world. It is absolutely our concern. We might not think that running out of wine is that big of a deal. Is it really what we'd want Jesus' first miracle to be? Couldn't he just run to Bevmo, get more? I mean, is this really where his hour comes? But hospitality is key in this culture, and his mother recognized the potential, the revealing of who Jesus is with a miracle that shows the world to trust in the abundance of God. 6 stone water jars would have held 150 gallons of wine. This is a cup runneth over kind of miracle that's going to create logistical problems. Where are you going to store all that leftover wine when you need to use your water jars again? Like all of your Tupperware containers in your bathtub? I mean, how is that going to work? We look at our proverbial wine bottles and we see them as nearly empty, and we decide we couldn't possibly have enough to share. Sure, there might be one more glass in that bottle for me, but I couldn't possibly have enough to share with you, or with someone from another country seeking to build a safer life here, or with an unhoused person sleeping on our steps, or even with someone who votes differently than we do. The scarcity of not enough makes us forget our connectedness, and then we start excluding people from our proverbial wine tastings. It makes us forget the goodness of God, who has provided for us in the past, who has brought us safely to this moment, and who surely is dreaming right this very minute for our flourishing and our provision. Whether we drink wine or not, we can all think about times in our lives when we thought there wasn't enough. We often speak about this in financial terms. Faith involves trusting that if we fund the things that matter to us the most first, that we'll have enough left over to do the other things too. Whether we have enough to share with others is never about how much we have. It's about how we value what we have. It's about how we remember where it came from in the first place. And it's about how we value the lives and the experiences and the hopes of other people. Do we at Calvary trust we have enough? I could show you bank statements and membership numbers. I could give you all of the data to prove we have enough. But unless we can trust that God is with us and for us, the data wouldn't sway you. Do we trust here at Calvary that we have enough to do what God has called us to do, to make a difference in the lives of people in our neighborhood? Do we trust that we have enough?
Yes.
Do we trust that we have enough?
Yes.
Because our hour has come. For Jesus and his mother, they were in a situation where the absence of beverages would have been seen just as a failure of the demands of hospitality. And the story could have ended with Jesus saying, "This is absolutely not my problem. I've got enough wine for me. Why do I care if they didn't plan ahead?" Jesus had a choice to make when his mother called him to his purpose. And we too, friends, are faced with choices about how to view and share and steward the resources we have. Nelson Mandela is quoted as saying, "May your choices reflect your hopes and not your fears." So I'm thankful for Mary's voice calling Jesus to live abundantly into his identity, trusting in her hopes for him, setting aside any potential fears about what it might have meant for him to go public with his ministry. And I'm thankful that Jesus heard her voice, even if he maybe didn't want to hear it. I'm thankful they both, in their own ways, made choices that reflected their hopes and not their fears. So friends, attend to the moments when voices ring out and when they are silenced, and when they call us to be whom God is dreaming us to be, and when they lead us into an abundance we cannot even imagine. Thanks be to God. Amen.